Abby and Brittany's sister just dropped a bombshell. The entire story the world saw on TV was faked. The supposedly real lives of the famous conjoined twins were actually a carefully crafted illusion. Behind the cameras, their life was filled with struggles and painful truths that never made it to air. TLC sold us an inspiring story, but the reality was far from picture perfect. Let us uncover what really happened, the shocking truth they never wanted us to see. Born in March 1990 in Minnesota, they share a body but have two heads. Known as diphallic paraphagus twins, a condition where two individuals are conjoined with separate heads but a shared body, their situation is incredibly rare, and surviving it even more so. People were fascinated. Two minds, one body, imagine how complicated life could get. And it sure looked like they were making it work. From day one, their story was spun like some sort of modern miracle, overcoming the odds, living as close to normal as possible, and showing the world just how positive and inspiring they could be. Two minds, one body, and a challenge that would shatter all expectations awaited them. But what was actually going on behind the scenes? These sisters were turned into reality TV icons, but at what cost? Their privacy? Their individuality? There's a reason we don't hear much from them nowadays. The spotlight is not all that glamorous when it's forced upon you, and once the cameras shut off, there's no crew to make sure everything goes smoothly. Growing up as conjoined twins, they faced challenges most people cannot even begin to understand. From the start, their parents were determined to raise them as if they were two separate individuals. And to their credit, they did a pretty good job. Each had their own preferences, personalities, and quirks. But they also had to share everything, even the basic, everyday things that most people take for granted. Imagine coordinating every meal, every outfit, every step you take. These siblings didn't just have to deal with the challenges of sharing a body, they also had to face the public's never-ending curiosity. As teenagers, the twins appeared in various documentaries and even had their own show on TLC. Remember those segments where they played sports like volleyball? It was almost like the cameras were there to say, look, they are just like everyone else. But reality TV is never quite real. It's a carefully curated narrative, the inspiring moments, the triumphs, the feel-good montages. What about the rough times, the moments when they disagreed or struggled? You barely saw any of that because it didn't fit the storyline TLC wanted to push. Sure, they graduated college, a remarkable feat by any standard. They both pursued degrees in education and eventually started teaching 5th grade. That's impressive. But the reality is that there were struggles and compromises. Imagine both trying to agree on what subject to focus on, deciding on coursework, figuring out career paths, all while sharing a single body. It's exhausting just to think about, yet this was their reality. And the cameras painted it as a breezy success story, glossing over the challenges that came with each accomplishment. The media loves a triumph over adversity story, but their lives were not just about triumph. The truth is, they have been dealing with one massive compromise after another, in work, in relationships, in everything. You don't see the everyday arguments or the toll of constantly being a role model. Each expressed dreams of having relationships, getting married, and even having children, and the world ate it up. But how realistic were those dreams given their situation? The show made it seem like anything was possible if you're positive enough, but that was far from the truth. After the cameras stopped rolling, they went back to their lives that are still anything but normal. They teach 5th grade at a school in Minnesota, and by all accounts, they are great teachers. But it's not all smiles and sunshine. The reality is, they are navigating a world that is still not built for them, a world that still stares, questions, and never quite gets it. And then there's the whole love thing. One is reportedly engaged, while the other has a boyfriend, but the reality of maintaining separate romantic relationships while sharing a body is a level of complication that is tough to wrap your head around. The TLC show ended after just 8 episodes. The novelty wore off, and the world moved on. They were no longer must-see TV. The same people who had tuned in to watch their inspirational journey moved on to the next story, the next spectacle. And that's the dark side of these kinds of stories. The public loves the inspiration, but once the story loses its shine, it's discarded. These days, they continue to teach and live their lives as best they can. They are not perfectly inspirational figures, they are just two individuals trying to make it work in a situation that is hard beyond imagination. The reality of their lives is not the story TLC told. It's more complicated, less glamorous, and full of compromises that don't make for a feel-good TV show. The truth is that their lives have always been a mix of triumphs and struggles, full of details that the cameras never captured. When they were born on March 7, 1990, their parents had no idea what kind of challenges lay ahead. Conjoined twins are rare enough, but their situation was truly unique. Each had a head, separate hearts, and distinct personalities, but they shared most of their body, a single torso, one set of arms and legs, and internal organs like the liver. Doctors didn't expect them to survive long after birth, but they defied those expectations. Their teenage years brought new challenges that added complexity to their story. From the start, Mike and Patty Hensel made the conscious decision to treat their daughters as individuals. They did not want Abby and Brittany to feel like they were just one person split into two heads. Each had her own bedroom, toys, and interests. One was more outspoken, while the other was more reserved. One loved math, while her sister preferred writing. Even though they shared a body, they were encouraged to develop their own identities. But sharing a body meant that every decision required negotiation. From brushing their teeth in the morning to deciding what to wear, the sisters had to agree on almost everything. Each controlled one arm and one leg, which meant that coordination was crucial. Learning to walk, play, and even write required incredible teamwork. Their parents taught them from a young age to be patient with each other and to communicate effectively, skills that would become essential throughout their lives. Despite the challenges, these siblings had a relatively normal childhood. They attended public school, participated in extracurricular activities, and made friends. They were even part of their school's volleyball team. Their participation in sports was often highlighted in documentaries and the TLC show. It was an amazing example of their determination. They had to work together seamlessly to move, jump, and play. It was not easy, but they made it look effortless. Their determination to lead normal lives continued into their teenage years. They learned to drive at 16, passing both the written and practical tests. Driving was a complex task for them, each controlled one side of the vehicle. One managed the gas and brakes with her right foot, while the other handled the steering. It required perfect coordination, but they made it work. Their ability to navigate these challenges earned them admiration, but it also placed them under constant scrutiny. The media fascination with these twins peaked when TLC offered them their own reality show in 2012. The program was meant to give viewers an inside look at the lives of conjoined twins. It aired for 8 episodes and followed the pair as they graduated from Bethel University, searched for jobs, and embarked on their teaching careers. The show was marketed as inspirational, focusing on their accomplishments and the normalcy of their lives. But there was little mention of the difficulties they faced, the arguments, the compromises, and the sacrifices. The reality of being conjoined twins is that privacy is almost non-existent. Imagine never being able to have a moment to yourself, not when you are sad, not when you are angry, not even when you are in love. These sisters have shared every moment of their lives, and while they clearly love each other deeply, it cannot be easy. They have had to navigate relationships, both romantic and platonic, with the added challenge of always being physically connected. The TLC show emphasized their hopes for love and marriage but glossed over the fact that such relationships would require an extraordinary level of compromise and understanding from everyone involved. After graduating from Bethel University, the siblings began teaching 5th grade at an elementary school in Minnesota. Their career choice was not just about their love of education, it was also one of the few professions where they could work together as equals. They teach math and English, with each focusing on her strengths. One, who has always been more analytical, teaches math, while her counterpart, who is more creative, handles English. Their students reportedly love them, and they're unique. 4. Their situation has allowed them to develop a teaching style that emphasizes collaboration and empathy. But teaching has its own set of challenges. Standing in front of a classroom every day means being on display, and for them, who are used to the stares and questions, it is a constant reminder of their differences. They have had to establish boundaries with their students and their students' parents, making it clear that while they are open to questions, they also deserve respect and privacy. It is a balancing act, one that they have managed with grace, but it is not without its difficulties. In their personal lives, these two have continued to push for independence. They have talked openly about wanting to get married and have children, but the logistics of that are complicated. One is reportedly engaged, and the other has been in a long-term relationship, but how do you navigate intimacy when your body is shared with your sister? It is a question that no reality show could ever truly answer, and one that these siblings have had to figure out for themselves. They have expressed a desire for privacy in these matters, and it is easy to see why. The world has watched them grow up, but there are some things that should remain personal. The public's fascination with their story has always been a double-edged sword. On one hand, their journey has inspired countless people, showing that it is possible to live a full life despite enormous challenges. On the other hand, they have been treated as curiosities, their lives dissected and analyzed for entertainment. The TLC show was just one chapter in a lifetime of being in the spotlight, and when the cameras stopped rolling, these two were left to pick up the pieces of their own lives, lives that were never as simple or as inspirational as the television producers wanted us to believe. Today, they continue to teach and to live their lives as best they can. They are not on social media and rarely give interviews. They have chosen to step away from the public eye, focusing instead on their careers and their relationships. They are not the inspirational figures that the media once portrayed them as. They are simply two individuals doing their best in a situation that most of us cannot even begin to comprehend. Now, as adults, they face new challenges and growing online attention. Abby and Brittany have responded to online criticism in their own way. These twin sisters are giving the haters a piece of their mind. These famous conjoined siblings have taken to social media to address all the online chatter, especially about one's marriage to Josh Bowling. The pair recently posted a TikTok picture featuring the newlywed with an audio clip that perfectly summed up their stance. The message? If you don't like them but keep watching everything they do, you're still a fan. This duo's direct way of pointing out the hypocrisy of the haters highlights that while critics claim to dislike them, they can't seem to look away. This isn't the first time the pair has tackled the noise from the internet. Back on March 28, they posted another TikTok that subtly took a jab at all the negative comments. The video featured ancient sculptures of conjoined twins, with a caption reminding viewers that they've always been here. It was their way of telling critics they are not some novelty but part of human history, conjoined. 4. Individuals like these remarkable sisters have existed for centuries, and it's about time people learn to deal with it. These extraordinary women have lived much of their lives in the public eye. They first garnered major attention in 1996 on The Oprah Winfrey Show, where they shared insights about their unique life. Recently, much of the online chatter has focused on one's marriage to Josh Bowling, a nurse and United States Army veteran. People are fascinated, and not always in a good way. Some ask questions, while others make rude remarks, implying that life choices impact both, or expressing disbelief that either could have a normal relationship. But the truth is, marriage hasn't changed who they are or the life they've chosen together. It's clear that her sister fully supports the relationship, and they are continuing their journey as they always have, as a team. To doubters and critics, the two have one simple answer: they are not living their lives for the approval of strangers on the internet. It's incredible how these women have maintained their composure no matter what criticism comes their way. Let's not forget that they are both fifth-grade teachers now. After everything they've been through, they've chosen to give back to their community by educating young minds. Imagine having educators who've overcome more obstacles by their 20s than most people face in a lifetime. Their dedication and passion in the classroom are truly commendable. They've faced judgment and stared it down, choosing to inspire instead. Their students gain a first-hand example of resilience, teamwork, and determination, lessons no textbook can teach. Dicephalic parapagus is a strange and incredibly rare kind of conjoined twinning where two heads are side by side on one body. This happens when a fertilized egg does not fully split during the early stages of development. Essentially, it is like having two people trying to live inside one body, and how they share their organs and limbs decides how well they can actually live. It is not just about surviving the birth, it is about figuring out how much of a normal life they can achieve. Conjoined twins occur in about 1 in 50,000 to 100,000 births, and dicephalic parapagous twins make up roughly 11% of these cases. In this type of conjoining, there is one shared body with two separate heads. Sometimes they have two hearts, which can really help in terms of survival. Other times, though, they have only one heart, which makes things much more difficult. The number of limbs can also vary. They might have anywhere from 2 to 4 arms or 2 to 3 legs. Every case is unique, and that makes things even more complicated. Often, dicephalic parapagous twins are stillborn or do not live very long after birth. It is a difficult situation because when vital organs are shared, the risks are extremely high. However, it is not always hopeless. Some dicephalic twins do survive and even reach adulthood. The challenge is that separating them is not always an option, especially if they share crucial organs. The decision to separate them really depends on how interconnected their vital organs are, and even then, it is a risky procedure that could end in disaster for one or both twins. Doctors have come up with some scientific names for these twins based on the number 40 of limbs they have. If they have 2 arms, they are called dibrachious. If they have 4 arms, they are tetrabrachious. It is just a way to classify how many arms or legs they have. It might sound technical, but at the end of the day, it is really just a way for doctors to understand what is happening inside that shared body. The medical community has not always been kind to dicephalic twins. In the past, there was a lot of debate about whether they should even receive medical help. Some people believed it was better not to treat them at all because of how difficult their lives would be and the risks involved. Thankfully, things have changed a lot since then. Today, there is much more support and focus on quality of life. It is not just about keeping them alive but also about making sure they have a real chance at a fulfilling life, even if that life is very different from what most people experience. This condition is extremely rare and complicated, filled with medical and ethical challenges. Most of the time, dicephalic parapagous twins do not survive long, but those who do can go on to live truly remarkable lives given the challenges they face. Medical advancements continue to improve how we understand and manage this unusual condition, but it will always be a difficult journey for the twins and their families. In a 2003 documentary, these women spoke about wanting to become mothers one day. It was a poignant moment that resonated with many, showing that despite their unique situation, their dreams and aspirations are much like anyone else's. They want careers, relationships, and perhaps a family of their own. But the internet loves to complicate things. People often ask intrusive questions or make judgments that forget these two are real people with feelings, not just a spectacle for public consumption. For those who can't look past their curiosity or feel the need to be rude or judgmental, the sisters have a clear message: they are not here for anyone's approval. They are not asking for permission to live their lives their way. In a world obsessed with appearances, they stand as a refreshing reminder that there's far more to a person than what meets the eye. So, here's the controversial question: should public curiosity have limits when it comes to personal lives? Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. 40 Mini